This is TWiT.
Well, let's launch into the news. The International CES event officially launched in Las Vegas today, at least for the media. The show opens to the public tomorrow. CES this year is expected to bring in more than 160,000 visitors, over 3,500 companies, and more than 6,000 journalists. And speaking of journalists, joining us live now from the event is our own Father Robert Ballecer. Hey, Padre, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
So glad you're on, and I'm so glad that you go to the show so I don't have to, and I appreciate that. Let's start with the big picture. What are the big trends you're seeing this year? Are they the same trends that we kind of expected?
Well, yes and no on the newsy side. So yesterday, the press was treated at the NVIDIA event to the release of a new chip, the Tegra X1. Now, NVIDIA is really making a push into the mobile space, which we know is a trend, but their new chip has 256 GPU cores on top of 8 CPU cores. So they're really trying to make that push into the high power, low power consumption arena. And we, I think that was pretty much the best news that we heard from the newsy side. Now, on the gadget side, on Sundays, there's an event called CES Unveiled, and I believe that Jason has a quick view of what this room looks like. Imagine a room about the size of the TWiT brick house, filled with nothing but media personnel and some of the booths, a preview of what's going to be happening on the show floor. Now, pack all these people together, give them some really bad food and some really cheap booze, and you get an idea of what the press gets treated to. Now, the number one trend, other than mobile, Mike, has to be wearables. And we called this, everyone has a wearable. It doesn't matter what kind of company you are, you're going to have a wearable. In fact, there was one wearable that was a snowboard. Imagine this. All wearables are about gathering points of information. There's a company called Xon, X-O-N, that has embedded sensors into a snowboard so that you can register your run down the slopes and replay it later on. And that way you can figure out whether or not you did anything wrong, what your weight distribution was like, whether or not you need to change your style, go goofy foot, whatever it's going to be. This is just a sample of what we've seen. There are wearables for babies. There are wearables for old people. There are wearables that'll track your activity, your food, your whatever. So, yeah, I think that's definitely going to continue, especially with the release of the Apple Watch.
That's all I need is a snowboard that tell me that I just face planted into the ice. Thanks a lot for that. Now, how about the Internet of Things? I've got the feeling that there are going to be a gazillion, approximately, Internet of Things devices of all kinds and maybe some surprising ones. What are you seeing in that department?
Yes, everyone is bringing out their Internet of Things, no matter what it is. And that just means that it's connected. Now, one trend that goes along with the Internet of Things is this idea of home automation. There are a lot of vendors out there, some very established, who are pushing everything from Nest, which is now owned by Google, to Belkin. Belkin made a big splash last year with their low-cost, high-connectivity Wemo modules. They're releasing a new module this year called the Echo, which will allow you to track your water and your power usage, which, is actually kind of a nerdy dream. There was one company that caught my eye last night at CES Unveiled. It was a company called OneLink. And Jason, I think we have some B-roll for this. Now, it looks like any other home automation system. This does fire protection, humidity, temperature, so on and so forth. It's got a little thermostat. And of course, they've got a wearable. But the thing that caught me was they claim these modules right here. These are their Wi-Fi thermostat, humidity, temperature probes, can run wirelessly for 10 years with nothing but battery power. Now, I haven't figured out how they're going to do that. We're going to stop by their booth later on and figure out if they've put a nuclear reactor. But 10 years running a Wi-Fi chipset, it doesn't seem possible. But if they did it, how much would you pay to stop that annoying beep you get whenever your fire detector goes low?
However much a shotgun shell costs, I don't know, whatever that is. And now I've seen a lot of this. One of the big problems with these kinds of Internet of Things devices is the power. You don't want to run a cable across the rug or whatever to plug it into the wall. And I've seen a camera also coming out that plugs into a light socket, which looks pretty cool. That's not going to ship till later this year. So I'm looking forward to that sort of thing, innovative ways to deal with power, as this apparently does. Now, one of your favorite topics, I know, Padre, is the drone world. You seeing anything in the world of drones, or are they not letting drone people into the tightly packed events yet?
They're letting them in. They're just not letting them fly.
Good advice.
But a lot of these a lot of these companies have figured out a way around that. Of course, the #1 quadcopter / drone manufacturer for consumers is going to be DJI. They were the ones who really brought it to the masses, and they were at CES unveiled, showing off something that the press has heard about, but they really wanted to take a look at. This is the DJI Inspire. It has that variable geometry. As you can see, the landing skids and the props go up and down, which allows the camera underneath to be thrown around in 360 without getting any part of the quadcopter into the shot. Now, this thing is beautiful. It's gorgeous. And the pictures that come from it are ultra silky smooth. Another thing that I should probably mention is that they've taken the 4K camera off the bottom of this drone and they've put it into a handheld. So you can now have a gyro-stabilized handheld unit. So I guess DJI is trying to branch out. Now, there are other manufacturers here who will be trotting out their drones over the next week, but DJI definitely has a head start. I mean, they've got everything from the low-end model all the way up to their octocopter that carries professional cameras for movie making.